Right, Blues fans, here we are after Friday night's game. Leicester City 2, Birmingham City 0. No points. Not the best performance tonight. We failed to play our normal way, penetrate through the lines, and create any real chances at all. One shot on target, wasn't it? For the entire game.
Yep.
And that was negligible to the point where you can forget that. And it was a forgettable performance overall. So frustrating, but at the same time, we still took 7 from the first 3 league games when we go into the international break. But there is work to do, isn't there, gents?
Definitely. I think there's work to do in the forward area. I think I was saying during the match, I think my patience has now worn out with Kyogo. And I did know a lot of Celtic fans were talking about that. You alluded to it as well, Dad, that if you don't play his way, he's kind of a passenger in the game. But he's got to start getting more involved. He's got to be more physical. He's got to come for the ball. He's just not creating enough. I mean, that's 2-3 games now where we've seen sort of like him sort of create half chances, and well, apart from the one really clear-cut chance against Oxford in the last outing that he had, that really he should have buried, really, to be honest. I mean, Stano, that's in the back of the net. I mean, frankly, Lyndon Dykes, that's back in the net. But that's 11 shots on goal this game and 1 on target. It's Leicester's 5. The 2 that are on target have both gone in. This has just been a case of Leicester have been more clinical.
Fine margins,
It's the fine margins.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, we should remember that about who we're playing. Like, and I know people say, oh, they've not been very good at the start, and they should have lost the game against Charlton. They did lose against Preston. They've still got quality players in the lineup. Not Fatawa scored the goal, but there were others there as well. It's the power of who they can bring off the bench as well.
Yeah.
It's the strength in depth they've got.
Yeah, and you've got people like canny operators like Chowdhury at the back. He just knows his way around, doesn't he? The Championship. He played in Sheffield United's team last season, and then he got promoted. They just know what to do, and they just kind of do the right things at the right time. And I think it might have been Don Goodman or one of the other commentators on Sky who was saying, that they just held strong. Yeah, they just kept it structured. They just kept it tight. We didn't really create any chances, and part of that has got to be down to the fact that in the end, like it or not, they actually defended better than we thought they did.
So I think what happened is it wasn't necessarily a game of 2 halves, but they certainly got stronger as the game went on. In that first half, teams like Middlesbrough, Stoke at the minute, Albion, Southampton, they're going to take teams like that apart. After that first half, teams like that will be winning 2-3-0 if they play like that again. But we made it easy for them in the first half. We should have really, other than the goal, which is obviously that's a mistake between Paik and Laird, and one of them's got to take accountability for that and sort that out, because that can't be happening in this league. And
no, not
just to
at all.
touch on that, nobody had a good game really tonight, did they? For the most part, I think man of the match wise, we'd probably give it to Laird, wouldn't we?
I think we give it to Laird.
He looked a level above again, but I think that we looked shaky tonight, particularly at the back. Like there was some moments
we didn't
where
look
it was
very
like,
sure of
fucking
ourselves.
hell.
Clara was playing the ball across, and there was one part where he was playing it back to Walsall, and it was shaky. It went to the byline, and Newman was struggling to get it out. It wasn't very crisp. It wasn't very clean. It wasn't very Chris Davis-esque, as we've discussed in the past. There wasn't just enough penetration. There wasn't enough urgency about the team, was there? We were very passive and very slow in the way.
We weren't aggressive in the middle of the pitch in
No.
particular. Obviously, Willem, not his game tonight. I still think the bloke has a place, but it wasn't in that game tonight. You've got to be physical. You've got to move the ball quickly. You've got to be aggressive, and we didn't have that. And they just, I think you're right, Dad. That experience there set them up well, and they didn't sit in, but they hold the lead.
They saw it out, didn't they? I mean, I personally, I'm not a football manager by any stretch of the imagination, but I understand why Chris Davis wanted Kumas playing in that 10 role, because he wanted to try and replicate Stano closing down, but I don't think that worked. I thought Willem would have been better there, and Kumas out wide, giving them trouble, getting crosses in.
I would agree.
I kind of understand it in terms of the way we play, but maybe we have to learn to play other ways as well. I mean, the duck and then the Dykes came in at the end, and I assume the idea there was to get the ball in the air and get crosses in. We didn't manage to do it because Leicester picked up again. But it's a bit late for that by then. It's too late for us to affect it. So I think on the Laird thing, I would say that both fullbacks had a very good game.
They did,
I thought Boz played well, and it was because the shit show we saw, earlier on in the week with the fullbacks in the League Cup game. It was a big improvement. And you think, right, these two guys, they're our guys now. They're our fullbacks.
They are definitely
both solid. Good headers of the ball. Both got pace, good awareness. they're our main defenders at the minute. The other two in the middle have got some sorting out to do. I think they'll get there, be honest with you, but it'll just take a bit of time.
I think we obviously missed our number 28 tonight, Mr. Stansfield.
Agreed.
Again, that aggressiveness that he brings in the press, and you were saying, Dad, when we were watching the game, that he leads that.
Yeah.
And he did it last season. He's done it this season already. And I think when you miss that, and I was just saying in the house when because we watched the game at home, none of us could make it to Leicester away tonight. But I say that there were no tickets left, was there? It's a shame. But watching it in there, it was like, you haven't got that person that's going to lead you, and every team has always got that one or two in the team that is kind of integral to how the system works. And when that person goes out, you've got to have good depth and strength in the squad to replace it. And if you don't, it will show in your results.
Yeah,
and it just showed in the performance tonight, didn't it?
That's the worry, though, isn't it? Stano's that integral. If he doesn't play, does the whole thing not work? Is that where we are with it? And I don't know whether it's just going to take time. I do believe that. I think it's just going to take time for others to learn how to do it, because it's very early doors still. We're at the 4th game out of 46. We've got a long way to go. And the other thing I would say, but I know people are getting upset, and I didn't like it either tonight. It wasn't great to watch. But let's remember, we're a newly promoted team.
Yeah.
There's all this talk about, we're challenging for the top 6 and all that. Until you get to 15 games, you don't know that.
And who has this come from? Who is this we're going to challenge thing come from? We were talking about this.
Well, it's been pushed by the owners. It's not been pushed by Chris Davis. It's not been pushed by the players.
We're putting pressure on ourselves.
Yeah, and the fans naturally are putting pressure on ourselves as expectation as supporters, as
it's the
supporters
odds,
often do,
the bookies odds, and everyone's like, but we are newly promoted, like you've just said. So
I mean, we've all sort of come to say, haven't we, really, to be fair? I think our pre-season predictions, and I think we are going to touch that as well in some of our upcoming content as well, where we think we'll finish in terms of the league. I know it is early, like you say, Dad, but I think there's the expectation of, we're going to be in the playoffs, we're going to be challenging for promotion, when realistically, I'd be happy with a top 10 finish this season and just finding our feet in the division and just being competitive. I think sometimes there's been an expectation, and sometimes that's maybe part of what brought Wayne Rooney in at the time. It was kind of like, it's no fear football, as it were, and we've got this expectation, we need to push on. But no, it's about a process, and it's about being part of that to get where we want to be. It will happen. We just need to make sure we're doing it in the right way.
Yeah, I don't think it's panic stations yet, is it?
No, it's not. It's way too early for that.
I look at that tonight, and yes, we've got to be better in the final third. We had a lot of touches in the opposition box and we didn't make anything on it. As you say, we had 11 shots and we had 1 on target that was completely forgettable. I think when we play a lot of the teams that are kind of your championship teams, no disrespect, but like Swansea, Watford, Hull, teams like that, we're going to be taking points off them. I think we've got enough quality for that. But when, if you're going to be playing teams like that tonight, and your Southamptons and Albions and people like that, if you can't really compete with that, you've got no business challenging for the top 2.
No, you haven't, because they're going to
all.
take points off you, particularly in some of the form that are lots of Southampton or West Brom, Middlesbrough, Stoke are in at the moment, really.
Yeah. I think also I heard, I think it was Don Goodman, but saying, that Birmingham are learning things every game. That's what newly promoted sides do. Okay, we were in the Championship the season before that, but it's a different team.
Well, you need to remember, Chris Davis has never managed in the Championship before.
No, you're right there, Dan. That's a good point, that it's not just about the players, it's about the staff as well. We're all learning together, and the fans are kind of getting used to a new team that are trying to kind of achieve things at that level. So let's just have patience. It's way, way too early to be getting upset about it.
And I think just touching on patience, Dad, as well, I don't know how other Blues fans feel, and we talked about it a little bit in the game, and maybe this is a bit premature, and I know we've just said maybe it is in terms of the form, and we're only 4 games in, but my patience has run out with Kyogo a little bit at this point, considering his price tag. And as Celtic fans have alluded to, as I've mentioned earlier, that if you're not playing his kind of game, it becomes a bit pedestrian. Well, we ain't got time for pedestrians at this level. It needs to start happening.
I think it depends, doesn't it? I mean, I think what a lot of them say is that he's a player where you've got to play to his strengths. Now, you are at a bit of a risk when you've got somewhat of a one-dimensional player in terms of the way they play, hanging off the last defender, in and behind, and one-touch finishes, that sort of thing. I do think there's a very good player in there. But because of the way the game was tonight, because we press and we defend from the front, he doesn't do that as well. He's not as aggressive that way. He hasn't got the build or really the strength to do it like Stano does, and he's the one that leads us. And I think when you've got to play to his strengths, it's not in those games tonight, it's in different ones. I know what you're saying, Dan, but because he's been playing, he's had that many games now, really not that many games, but he's had a lot of minutes since we signed him. and he still only scored 1 goal.
And it's not like he hasn't had chances either. And the only
No,
problem
no.
is as well, and I understand what you're saying, it wasn't his time of game tonight because it's pressing for the front and he doesn't do it as aggressively as Stansfield or even at Kumas did at times early on in the game. He didn't really do it later on, but he did it earlier more so than Kyogo. But you've got to have an answer if he's not going to do that.
I would agree
because
with that.
you can't keep going along with the momentum of, you know, kind of saying, well, or maybe he'll come with this good game, this game will be more of his. It's got to happen. You've got to have an
answer,
option. You've got to be able to do it.
There's got to be an alternative, and we've got 2 relatively slight, you know, players with a bit of pace up front. We've got one guy who, you know, can do a kind of average job in the Championship in Lyndon Dykes. I think, and I think I might have said this throughout the summer, what we're missing up front is a more muscular player with pace.
Agreed.
That's going to stretch defenders, stretch defences, running behind, you know, pull them into areas they don't want to be in. But also somebody who can hold the ball up and hold people off. I mean, the closest kind of analogy I can think of is Clayton Donaldson. Somebody in that mould, somebody who's got the ability to score, but also to kind of bring others into play.
And a lot of teams are crying out for a player like that. They're
I
hard to come
agree.
by, but I would agree that it's what we need, and I do think that's right, Dan, that you have got to have an answer. When there isn't an answer in the game, you got to find it, and we didn't have those answers tonight.
You've either got to change your style of play according to fit into the players that you've got on the pitch at the time, so players like Kyogo we've been talking about, or you've got to change the personnel. And it's a bit of a shame just saying what you were saying, Dad. Yeah, Clayton Donaldson would have been something like that, but also it's a shame Lucas Jukovic isn't 10 years younger and he'd be ideal in this situation, wouldn't he? And he's also a goal threat, isn't he?
He would definitely help change the dimension of what we were trying to do, but whether they've got irons in the fire in the next 3 days for the transfer window shuts, I don't know. But if they haven't, then you would hope that they might start looking a bit more quickly at it. I mean, a lot of Blues fans aren't very keen on this option, but he's got a lot of experience at this level and he's available on a free. But Patrick Bamford's just left Leeds.
Yeah, we saw that,
Yeah, now he's 31, 32. He's got a bad injury record. But I don't think he's the answer personally, right? I think we need something a bit different. But if they've not been thinking along those lines and they need to act quickly, I don't know. Maybe he's the guy they're going to start thinking about bringing in.
Maybe we'll see them coming in the next few days. Like you say, there's been a little bit of talks here and there. I know Joe said, you said Chris Davis was talking about it. A couple of other things as well before we wrap up as well. Just wanted to mention as well. I know some people were saying that Ricardo should have been off before he scored the goal. Maybe somebody else would have scored it, but I do agree, should have been a red card, but you haven't got VAR at this level, unfortunately. That should have been a straight red for his foul on Kyogo. It's above the ankle, it's high, should have been straight off. There's no 2 ways about it. And he only got his yellow card not for the foul, but for fucking protesting the foul.
Swings and roundabouts.
So I don't know how the referee spotted that.
On the night, it's frustrating, and it will continue to happen, and other teams, it will happen to them in another game. They'll have the same thing, and it
but
won't
it's just
go for them.
disappointing all the same that it happens.
No,
but anyway,
on the night, it's shit.
I think it's an either here or there, is it really? Because we wouldn't have deserved to get anything out of that game, really, considering we weren't clinical enough for Leicester were. And the second thing as well, what is with Leicester fans booing Damari Gray? What are you doing?
Yeah,
the bloke played for you in the Premier League, helped you win the title. What's that about? You didn't leave on bad terms.
I feel like there's something we don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Well,
other than that.
I heard an interview from the Birmingham Mail Live guys doing their podcast. They were speaking to a Leicester reporter in the same newspaper group, and he said he thought he'd get a kind of polite, applause and stuff like that. He didn't seem to indicate there was any particular beef.
No, I don't know what's going on there.
Natural parting of the way, so I don't know. I'm not sure what that was about really, but like you say, Dan, maybe there's something we're not privy to, but
perhaps not. But it just seems really strange to me.
Well, look, either way, other than that, disappointing on the night. Obviously, no points away from home. We're going to lose at some point.
Yeah, of course we are.
And like we've just all alluded to there, it is a process. We learn. Like Don Goodman said on the commentary, we've got to take what we can from that and move forward with it. And with the transfer window not far away from closing, hopefully we can get some more in to add some strength to the squad. But we'll see them back at St Andrews, obviously, when they come and play at ours. Hopefully we can get some points then. So international break now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll have another upload
by Tuesday.
Yeah, what day is it today?
It's Friday today, so we'll be back on by Tuesday with the usual podcast, but we're going to be doing something slightly different this week, so stay tuned, Blues fans, for that.
Yep, and then next game we've got after the international break, I think we're away at Stoke, so just sold out today.
Another tough test.
Another tough test, yeah. I think they're still top as of Friday night being today.
Yeah, they're 12:30, one of the three tomorrow against West Bromwich Albion. It's at Stoke City, so it's going to be a tough test for West Brom. Big game for both teams.
Should be a good game. So yeah, we'll come to you guys next week with episode 7 of the podcast. But until then, stay true to the Royal Blue, and we will see you next time. Peace out, Blues fans.
Keep right on.
Keep right on.